Welcome everyone. Hope you're having a great day. It's 6.1 slope-intercept equation from a graph. Right? So remember, slope-intercept form, we had our y equals mx plus b, right? And f of x is the same thing, right? So remember, like y equals mx plus b. Right, our m value is our slope, which is rate of change. Our b value is our y-intercept, which is initial value. So we're going to get used to using f of x instead of y, but both are interchangeable, right? So y equals f of x or f of x equals y. So same thing. So y equals mx plus b. We're just replacing that y with the function notation f of x. And remember our slope, right? Rise over run, or change in y over change in x, right? Which is our rate of change. So let's go to our problem right here. So this is page 6 in your handouts. So number 1, so what is the symbolic representation for this graph? So first of all, we look at what is our y-intercept right there, right? So where does it intersect our y-axis right there? Right there. So it intersects at 600. So that's our y-intercept, so that's 0.0600. All right, so that's our y-intercept. Then we look for a corner that it crosses. Okay, this might be a little difficult because it's so tiny. So what we can do, we can just go straight to the end here. And this is a solid point right here. So we can take that point, because that's a guarantee at a corner that we could use. Then we use our slope, which is rise over run. And we look at, so it goes down to 0, right? That's 0. So this goes down 600. So down 600. So a rise, so negative 600 over right, and it goes all the way to 75 plus 75. Right, so that's our rise over run, and that's going to be our slope. Right, so we got 600 over 75, and it's negative, and we know it's negative because our line is going down to the right. So this is negative slope. So it's going to be negative something, right? Negative something. So negative sum 600 over 75, and we can reduce that to, right, let's try 3. So we divide by 3, right, reducing fractions, right? We could divide the top by 3, the bottom by 3, and we get negative 200 over 25. And then what else can we do? We can do 5s. So divide the top by 5, bottom by 5. So bottom by 5, is 5. 200 divided by 5, so in 100, right? So 5 times 20 is 100, so there's 2 of them, so it's 40. So 40. And if 40 divided by 5, we can do that, right? So 40 divided by 5, 8. So we could simplify our fractions, we could divide it, and this is negative, right? So negative slope. So our slope is negative 8. And our slope-intercept form, remember, we just talked about that, so it's f of x, because that's our y now, equals mx plus b. And we're just going to match that up with what we know, because our m is our slope. So slope is negative 8 with the x value. Our b value, which is a y-intercept, is 600. So positive 600 plus 600 right there. And that's our slope-intercept form. And we're done with that, right? So we start at our y-intercept 600. Our slope is negative 8. So 8 over 1, 8 over 1, 8 over 1. Right, and we use negative 600 over 75 to find that rate of change slope, negative 8. And we want to find f of 50, right? So the whole purpose of finding these equations is that we could use it to find other values, right? Like how much does 20 paddles cost, right? How long does it take to save $1,000, right? So we're going to use this function notation and pay attention to those ones because each problem is going to have that function notation. So we're going to find, so f of x equals our equation that we just found. Then we're going to find f of 50, because that's what it's asking, right? So f of 50. So equals, so negative 8. And then I'm going to put parentheses every time I see x. And just replace that x with 50. Right there, 50. And then we do our function notation, so negative 8 times 50, negative 400 plus 600 equals positive 200. So f of 50 equals 200, right? So these are things that we've done before, function notation. So we just finding our equation first, using our slope y-intercept, and then we're using our function notation. That's it. Yeah. So let's go to our next example. So example 3, right there. So this was already done. But we can look at where does it intersect our y-axis, right? This axis right here, negative 3. So it intersects at negative 3. So that's our y-intercept. Negative 3 at 0, negative 3. Our slope, right? So it's given, kind of goes off here. But we're given another point. We could use that to find our rise over run. Right? So we went down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So negative 7, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, plus 4. And we know it's negative because our line is going down to the right. Right? So negative slope going down to the right, always to the right, always to the right. Right? So our slope would be negative 7 over 4, or negative 7/4. Our slope-intercept equation, again, f of x equals mx plus b, and we're just going to match these up again. So our slope, negative 7 over 4, the x next to it, and our b value is negative 3, so we just put minus 3 for negative 3, and that's our equation. That's it. Okay, so let's go next, number 2, right here. Again, we start at our y-intercept, right? Because we want to get to f of x equals mx plus b. So we start at our y-intercept right there. That is at 5, right? So y-intercept 5, so 0.05. And then we use our line, we follow till we hit a corner right there. So we use this point, and then we use our rise of a run. So we go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's negative 5. And we're going right 1, 2, plus 2. So it's negative 5 over 2. And you can put the negative in the front here of your fraction. So negative 5 over 2 is our slope. And that makes sense because it's going down to the right, right? So negative slope going down to the right. And then we write our function notation, right? Something x. So our slope is negative 5 over 2, so we just put that in there. Negative 5 over 2. Our y-intercept is positive 5, so plus 5. And that's our equation right there. And then we're going to use that to find f of 10. Right, so these are things that we've talked about before. Find the y-intercept, find the slope. And we're just writing in equation form. That's it. So f of x equals negative 5 over 2x plus 5 that we just found. We're going to find what is f of 10. So we're just going to rewrite the equation, put parentheses for x. Every time we see that x, we put 10. All right, and we're going to multiply negative 5 over 2 or 10 times 10. Easy way. Just multiply top numbers. All right, just put it over 1 and just multiply. So you get 5 times 10, 50. 2 times 1, 2. And it's negative. It's a negative in front. Right? Negative 50 over 2. Plus 5. Negative 50 divided by 2, negative 25. Plus 5, negative 20. So that is f of 10, right? Negative 20. Gravy. Okay? Can do, right? We just find y-intercept, find another point that's a corner, find the slope, rise of a run, negative 5 over 2. Use those to write in function notation. Then whatever it's asking you to do, function f of 10, we substitute 10, right? 10. And you figure out what that is, do the math, we get negative 20. do. Okay, last one. Okay, number 3. Same thing. We start at our y-axis right there. And we can tell our slope's going down to the right, yeah? Down to the right. So you notice it has a negative slope. So it's going to be negative something. Crosses here, which is at negative 5. So our y-intercept, negative 5. 0.0, negative 5. Always 0, right? Remember, parentheses 2. And then we look at what is our slope, our rise of a run. And if we go right, it kind of runs out of space, yeah? So we could go the other way, or we could go pick another point right here. That's another corner. We could go down 1, negative 1, right 1. Down 1, right 1, down 1, right 1, right? That's a pattern. So our rise over negative 1 over 1, which is just division, is just negative 1. So that's our slope, negative 1. I'm going to write it in slope-intercept form. F of x equals mx plus b. So f of x equals something x. And we're going to figure out what is m. We got that. It's negative 1. So negative 1x. Our y-intercept is negative 5 right there. So f of x equals negative 1x minus 5. You could simplify that because negative 1 times x is just negative x. So we don't actually need that negative 1 there. We could just write negative x minus 5, remember? Because there's no number, it's a 1. Negative 1x, right? Negative 1x, same thing. Yeah, so that's our function. Right there, simplified. So we're going to use that function and find what is f of 3. So 3. Negative, and then put a parentheses every time we see the x, right? And there's still the negative. Remember that. Watch out for that negative. So if there's negative in the front, leave it there. It's still there. And then we just put in a 3 right there. Right, so negative, whatever x1, x is 3. Yeah. So now we have negative 3 minus 5, which is negative 8. So f of 3 is negative 8 right there. Right, and remember, that's like our xy pairs too, right? 3, negative 8. So our ordered pairs, 3, negative 8, is right about there, which should continue on our line right there. So it should match up, 3, negative 8. Okay, so that works. All right, good luck.